Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi as in low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question, what's going on in the world today? I hope everyone's ready. It's Messy Monday. Messy Monday's weekend recap will bring you 10 fast-paced headlines from across the globe, and then a piece of humanity to send you on your way for the week. So let's get messy. The news, fresh off the press. The following three stories all come from Reuters World News. We begin with a story in Poland. Ahead of runoff vote, Polish president proposes constitutional ban on LGBT adoption. The incumbent president of the Conservative Law and Justice Party appears to be using this as a plea to turn out the conservative vote ahead of the runoff, in hope of retaining his political position. We'll have to wait and see just how effective this plea will be. Now east we move to Japan. Japan floods. Mudslides kill at least 44 as streets turn to rivers. Several days of rain and flooding have led to devastating effects in Japan. We'll keep following this story throughout the week and keep you posted, Lo-Fi Nation. Japan, you're in our thoughts, my friends. Next, to Hong Kong and updates on the situation there. Hong Kong court denies bail to first person charged under new law. The law we've been talking about for months, the move we were all afraid of, is now here and being enforced. The individual is being charged with separatism and terrorism. This first case will tell us a lot about how China intends to really use this law. Stay tuned. A lot will be happening this week. The following three stories all come from AP News International section. Staying in the region, we focus on Taiwan. Bucking China pressure, Taiwan, Somaliland, establish ties. That's right, an interesting turn of events, where normally countries fold to Chinese pressure to no longer recognize Taiwan as an independent country, Somaliland goes the opposite direction. And China's response? You guessed it. They did not like it at all. To Russia we move for our next story. Russian journalist fined in case that drew broad outrage. The journalist was convicted of condoning terrorism and must pay a fine of almost $7,000. While the government was pushing for 6 years in prison, the journalist gets to walk away with their freedom this time. This was a close call, Lo-Fi listeners. You know the stories we hear out of Russia. They almost never end like this. Let's be thankful that this one does, and it didn't get any messier than $7,000. To India we go now. India bans TikTok, other Chinese apps amid border standoff. Last month we spoke about the border violence between the two countries, including the idea that China surely has military superiority. So what could India really do to end this dispute? Simple. Hit China in a way that hurts even more. And their economy. India has one of the largest internet markets in the world, with the second largest population in the world. And TikTok, being a Chinese company gone viral across the globe, put all these pieces together. And let me just say, well played, India. Well played. We'll be keeping up with this story for sure as it develops. The next three stories all come from the BBC News. This next one keeps with TikTok, but moves to Egypt. Egypt TikTok star arrested for indecent videos. As of right now, we know very little about this story, except for the title, and that the person arrested was known for lip-syncing videos. As we find out more, so will you, Lo-Fi Nation. Staying in the Middle East, but moving to Turkey. Jamal Khashoggi murder. Turkey puts 20 Saudis on trial in absentia. While Saudi Arabia rejects this inquiry because they've already sentenced 5 people to death and 3 more to prison, suggesting they already took care of this, Turkey tends to disagree. However, Saudi Arabia refuses the extradition of the 20 individuals. This is another story we'll be watching closely as it develops throughout the week and the month. Now, down under, a story of the 7 seas fighting back. Australia shark attack. Man killed spearfishing near Fraser Island. The loss of life is always tragic. The world is 75% water, and we, as human beings, are still trying to find our place and our balance with the oceans. Stay sharp out there, people. We may love the water and beaches, but we were surely born on land. And our last story of the day from AP News International, and staying with the theme of animal-human relations. Austria. Bachelor party ends with snake-bitten tongue. Excuse me? What did you say? I said, Austria. Bachelor party ends with snake-bitten tongue. Right. That's exactly what I thought you said. Because apparently these people were too excited to be out and alive and celebrating an upcoming wedding. They found a small worm and decided to give it a kiss. Because that's what you do with small worms, right? And it ended up being a viper, and it bit the person's tongue, and they got a swollen tongue and had to go to the hospital for it. Mark this as one of the lamest cover stories ever, gentlemen. Really? Kissing a worm? Newsflash, Lo-Fi Nation. Don't put foreign objects to your mouth. And leave animals alone this week. It's obvious they don't like to be touched. Or kissed. Apparently. And it's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Write in with questions or comments to lofipolisci@planetmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Wash those hands. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.